While studying Kafu, I've come to the awareness of certain spiritual concepts that I'm still learning and exploring, but I'll try to give a simplified explanation. First, there's Kapu. Kapu, simply put, is a set of virtues, values, and principles that we should strive to live our lives by. There's the Kahu and the Kahuna, who serve as spirit guides, shamans, and teachers. Then there's the Kabs. A Kab is tricky and complicated to explain, but welcome to our first session. Greetings, and welcome to session 1 of Gateway to the Spirits. I'm really excited to embark on the spiritual journey where I'll be studying different cultures and spiritual systems around the world. This first session is about my insider anthropological study on cannabis culture, which I think is very relevant considering that here in my home state of Ohio, marijuana has recently become legalized. The year of this recording is currently 2024, and we just observed our first 420 holiday where recreational marijuana is now legal. For those who don't know, 420 is a day recognized on April 20th for the consumption of cannabis. Legend has it that it started in the early 70s by a group of students at San Rafael High School in California who called themselves the Waldos. They used the number sequence 420 as a code to indicate a reefer rendezvous after classes and football practice around 4:20 p.m. It is said that they were very intelligent and inquisitive students who just liked to smoke pot from time to time, and they would go on adventures that they called safaris to look for treasure or to learn something new. Years later, in the early 1990s, a reporter for the cannabis magazine High Times was handed a flyer urging people to meet at 4:20 p.m. on 420 for 420ing. High Times magazine published the flyer's message, and the celebration of 420 began. Cannabis has been used since ancient times throughout various cultures around the world for medicinal and spiritual purposes. According to most of my web searches, the earliest record of cannabis use dates back to before 2000 BC in China, possibly during the rule of Emperor Shen Yun, who is regarded as the father of Chinese medicine. The cannabis plant appears to have originated in Asia and then spread to other parts of the world. Some societies that incorporated cannabis include India, parts of the Middle East, parts of Africa, including ancient Egypt, Greece, and Rome. I'll include a map that I found to show a postulation of how the cannabis plant spread around the world, although I'm not too sure of its accuracy considering the argument of whether ancient Americans such as the Mayans also used cannabis. Some of the major spiritual systems who have arguably incorporated cannabis into their spiritual practices are Hinduism, Buddhism, Sufism, Judaism, Ifa, Rastafari, Santeria, Brujeria, Palo Mayombe, and even some sets of Christianity, just to name a few. I'm pretty sure there are more that I either forgot to mention or I'm just unaware of. I say that they arguably incorporate cannabis because I'm sure there are members in each of the listed spiritual systems who strictly forbid the use of any mind-altering substances to enhance spirituality. I personally believe that marijuana use is very complicated and also very situational. Once ingested, good quality marijuana has an undeniable effect that can be used to enhance the spiritual experience and possibly activate certain healing properties. On the other hand, if you're already operating on a spiritual level that's higher than the marijuana plant, it can actually add a hindrance to your spirituality, example being athletic training. We also have to consider possible negative effects such as impaired cognition, memory loss, cardiovascular and respiratory damage, increased risk of heart attack, stroke, and cancer, and lower sperm count in males. And then, of course, if you have any pre-existing medical conditions, you should consult with your doctor first. Overall, I would say that marijuana can open the gateway for a spiritually insightful experience, but isn't required to advance your spirituality. I will also say here that the further you go into any of these spiritual systems, the less likely you are to partake in this particular mind altering substance. Many of these spiritual systems believe that there is a spirit that governs the nature of this plant. A few that I'm familiar with are Shiva, Ganesha, Buddha, Ishtar, Salamuerte, Freya, Jaja, and Kanaloko Ono Ko Eau. Some of the names of this plant that I like are Pakalolo, Ganja, Kush, Kisha, Hashish, and Shisha. Some other names that I'm also familiar with are cannabis, pot, herb, tree, bush, bud, hash, weed, jazz, gas, grass, green, Mary Jane, and J. Marie. The list goes on, but these are just a few. The term marijuana possibly originated from the Chinese word ma ren hua, which means hemp seed flower, or possibly from the Nahuatl malihuan, which means prisoner. I want to take some time here to talk a little bit about alcohol, seeing that growing up in a gathering where marijuana was present, some form of alcohol was oftentimes also involved. If I were schooling my children, I would tell them to stay away from alcohol consumption as much as possible because overall it's not a healthy choice. But if one day you do choose to imbibe, beware of your alcoholic choices. Try to steer away from dark and hard liquors as they contain more toxic substances. Red wine seems to be the best choice because it contains resveratrol and polyphenols that may have cardiovascular benefits. The recommended amount is 1 5-ounce glass for women and 2 5-ounce glasses for men. A general rule of thumb for me is for a 750 milliliter bottle of wine with 13 to 14% alcohol, a half full wine glass is one drink, and if I've drunken more than half of the bottle to myself, then I've already gone too far. Also, be aware that wine does go bad once it's been opened. It can be stored unopened in a cool, dark place for years, but once it's been opened and exposed to light, heat, and oxygen, it's only good for a few days. Any leftovers should be kept in the fridge for no more than a week. Here are some wines that did not make me feel hungover the next day. Here are some drinks that did. There's a line of vodka that I like, mostly because of its background story. It's called Crystal Head Vodka, and is partially owned by Ghostbusters star Dan Aykroyd. This vodka is more expensive, but said to be a cleaner choice than other vodkas. Beware of cheap vodka and other cheap alcoholic drinks, because they most likely contain even more toxic chemicals and harmful byproducts. Crystal Head's background story is connected to a real-life myth about 13 crystal skulls that are scattered around the earth. These crystal skulls are said to be extraterrestrial transdimensional communicators that have the potential to enhance one's psychic abilities. This myth is presented in the Indiana Jones movie Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, where they bring together all 13 skulls to open a gateway for a powerful transdimensional extraterrestrial intelligence to influence humanity on the earthly dimension. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but that's what I remember. I created my own drink with this particular vodka, where I basically just mix it with a sweet juice like ocean spray cranberry, and sometimes add citrus fruit like lemon, lime, or tangerine. I call it conspiracy theory. After marijuana was legalized here in Ohio, I started a trial where I followed the moon cycle and performed a spiritual gateway ceremony during the weekend of each full moon, where I included marijuana and alcohol as a part of the ceremony. If you use these substances recreationally, I think that the best way to look at it is as performing a sacred ritual and entering into a sacred contract with your substance of choice. Marijuana is said to be a sacred plant and should be treated as such. Whether you realize it or not, if you choose to partake in using this plant, you are practicing an ancient form of shamanism. My gateway ceremonies are basically a mixture of shamanism, necromancy, natural medicine, and deity worship. I also like to play some type of wind instrument to exercise my respiratory system. I know a lot of people say that marijuana should never be smoked. because of the debris intake, or the cleanest way to smoke marijuana is with a water bomb. But I myself have a guilty preference of the old school roll it up and smoke it method. I would recommend to stay away from tobacco blunts, such as backwoods and cigars, as they seem to add an even harsher element to the smoke. I like to go with high hemp vegan wraps because, other than rolling papers, these are said to have a cleaner smoke. If you do smoke, try not to inhale so deeply. I'm not a fan of inhaling smoke deep into my lungs and holding it like I've seen in movies where characters are coughing and choking. Growing up, it was always customary to hit the blunt 2 or 3 times, then pass it on or put it out. Keep in mind that setting plays a major part in the experience: where you are, who's around you, and what you plan to do. Always try to be in a comfortable and safe place around people you know and trust. I also recommend learning another language, particularly one that is considered to be a spiritual or a sacred language. Caution: beware of where you get your drugs. The marijuana that's bought and sold on the street, and even store-bought marijuana, may have additives that can have additional adverse effects on the body. I personally prefer to grow my own. I tried growing completely organic, but I noticed much success with Fox Farms Plant Nutrient Kit. It's so awesome to watch something start off as a tiny seed and sprout into something so beautiful and majestic. Even though the title of this project is called Gateway to the Spirits, I don't want people to think that this is just about using marijuana as a gateway drug and getting drunk off of liquid spirits. But I do want people to be educated on the best way to navigate this territory if they do somehow, someday, find themselves on this path. The best piece of advice I can give in simple terms is to practice being disciplined. Don't let anything get in the way of you achieving your goals or reaching your fullest potential. The legendary martial artist Bruce Lee was said to have used mind-altering substances to help him work on his movie characters. But in a letter that he wrote to a friend, he stated that he had to quit because it was interfering with his kung fu. I have a lot of respect for Bruce Lee, so I say, be wise, my friend. Be water, drink water, and practice kung fu. Whenever I partake in the gateway ceremony, I like to write about my experience, whether it's through journaling, poetry, or any other form of literature. For this particular session, I wrote some lyrics to an instrumental that I found online called Puff Puff Pass, which I thought was a very suiting title. In the lyrics, I attempted to sum up my message for chapter 1 of Gateway to the Spirits.
High, bud and wine, rolled up, got high, about to put something on your mind. I was blowing on this kush, then the air got mystified. I keep puffing on this money, make the product multiply. Look me dead in my eyes, winning the dead is the prize. That's why I be dropping songs to make the dead come alive. What I said, catch the vibe, tidal wave, catch the tide. Almost moving through your body, I'm erupting in your mind. Oi, 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 ay, 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 how my slime slip and slide. Flash divine, bless sublime, on cloud 9, I still shine. Hypnotized with these rhythmic rhymes, teach you testify. If you been moved by a smooth criminal, but it ain't a crime. Drunk and high, drunk and high, drunk and high. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Drunk and high, drunk and high, drunk and high. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Drunk and high. It's a movie and it's live. Scooby Dooby, pass it to me. Ooey gooey, goo guy. Doing yoga, soft sofa, or about to go outside. Exercise, doing suicides, yet I'm still alive. Do or die, breathing life and speak truth to every lie. Improvise as I realize my creative side. I imbibe, don't abuse it. If you do it wise. Open eyes, teach my tribe about the illegal, legalize. Drunk and high, drunk and high, drunk and high. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Drunk and high, drunk and high, oh my, oh my, oh my. Drunk and high, let me focus on my health. What I'm doing with my body, how I'm talking to myself. Doing something with my life, reading books from off the shelf. I may dress up like a peasant, but my mind is thinking well. Making best of situations in the parts that have been dealt. When I'm wet, going hard, thank God on milk. Rock star, raw, jaw, high, ninja cell. Drug tripping, get addictive, ain't no about to get some help. Drunk and high, don't do it. Drunk and high, don't do it. Drunk and high, don't do it. Oh my, oh my, oh my, don't do it. Drunk and high, don't do it. Drunk and high, don't do it. Drunk and high, don't do it. Oh my, oh my, oh my, don't do it.
If you're intoxicated in a public place, I suggest performing a quick sobriety test on yourself before traveling somewhere else. First, try to focus on an object close up and an object far away. If you can't focus on neither, consider waiting until the drugs wear off. Next, try to balance on one foot and count to 20. If you're having difficulty balancing, consider waiting until the drugs wear off. And finally, try taking 10 steps from heel to toe in a straight line. Then turn around and take 10 more steps, heel to toe, in a straight line. If your steps are wobbly or staggered, consider waiting until the drugs wear off. I know some people like to follow the pattern of getting high, drunk, and then having sexual intercourse, but I would like to propose an alternative. Instead of physically engaging in sex, I want you to try something that I created called jingulating. Start by standing with your feet about shoulders width apart. Take a few deep breaths and try to relax. Then, slowly and gently, begin to bounce on the heels of your feet with the intention to relax and loosen every part of your body. Wherever you feel tension, try to relax. Continue to breathe deeply, but begin to breathe with each bounce so that each breath becomes almost jagged and rhythmic. Next, position your hands as if you're saying a priestly prayer. Focus on your breathing. This is the basics of jingulating. You can then get creative and add your own moves. You should begin to feel an energetic activation throughout your entire body. Pay particular attention to your root chakra. You should feel an almost tingly sensation around your anus and genitals. That's how you know you're doing it properly. Here's my little disclaimer. Be mindful while you're doing this. It can bring both males and females to the point of orgasm, and if you're really lit, it can cause light body activation. Once you've exhausted yourself, slowly come to a standstill, relax, and continue to focus on your breathing and any spiritual insights that you may have gotten during the experience. If you time everything just right, by the time you've calmed down, relaxed, and sobered up, it will be almost time to go to bed. As a part of my Soul Man services, I'm creating a group called the Sex G Network. Sex G's being gods, guides, guards, gurus, gateways, and ganja. Our basic primary focus with this network is to learn and teach about cultures, communities, and spiritual systems in collaboration with drug abuse resistance education. This group is inclusive to all forms of spirituality, and our overall goal is the expression of peace and love. So that's pretty much my message for chapter 1 of this Pathworking project. Stay tuned for a more in-depth study on some of the mentioned spiritual systems. As I mentioned, the higher you go in each of these spiritual systems, the less likely you are to partake in any of these particular substances. So I'm going to close this chapter with a challenge. For all of my daily users, I challenge you to just once or twice a week. For all of my weekly people, I challenge you to once or twice a month. For all of my monthly people, I challenge you to once every blue moon. And for all of my blue moon people, I challenge you to not at all. Until next time, I'll be getting jiggy with my transdimensional alien conspiracy theories. Take care. I've come to the realization that there are a lot of problems associated with marijuana and alcohol use, which is why overall I simply say just don't do it.